She had given not only all of her wealth, but she also gave herself, which was really the greatest gift. Her emphasis was on education, really providing opportunities for young men and women to reach their greatest potential.
We were all educators in the beginning. We now have sisters in nursing, in social work, in parish ministry.
Our mission is called to assist the Native and African American peoples of this country, particularly, but now as the 21st century moves in, we're also called to be interracial. Our motto is the total gift of self.
When I was in college, I was majoring in social work, and that was the first time I really seriously thought about being a sister. And it was primarily because what I was doing, working with people and helping people, I felt there was more I could be doing. And I began to really seriously consider a religious life at that point. That I wanted to not only help people, but also to give my life in the church for that reason.
Is that desire for God came very much for me through nature. I grew up in the country. I used to take long walks. I had plenty of time to reflect, lots of time to think about life and its purpose and what I wanted to do with my life. And the more I prayed and reflected, the more I knew. I just had to give my entire life to God to serve others.
It begins with my experience of being a teacher at the Academy of the Sacred Heart in Houston and working with the religious of the Sacred Heart. I spent about 13 years with them as an educator and as a woman of faith, interested in religious life. In fact, when I started with them, I wasn't Catholic. And because of their role modeling for me and their presence in my life, I began to realize maybe I need to be Catholic and maybe God is calling me to religious life.
They were walking along the lawn, and I remember I was 6 years old, very little, and I looked up to my mom and said, "What are they?" And she explained to me that they were women who gave their entire lives to God. And all I remember saying to her, as though it were yesterday, is, "That's what I'm going to be when I grow up." I was 6 years old, and it was the attraction to God and my desire to belong to God.
What happened was when I was studying for my master's degree, I worked part-time in what's called our infirmary, and I had already begun to look at another community of sisters. I had been in their pre-entrance program. But when I worked in our infirmary with our sisters and began to hear their stories and see the relationship they had with the people who they had taught or worked with, many people would come from all over the United States when they were in the Philadelphia area to go visit a sister who taught them in the first grade. I was very, very impressed with the relationship that they had established with the people. And I'm originally from the Philadelphia area, so then I began to read more about Catherine Drexel and just felt more and more that this was the community that God was asking me to come into.
So I met the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament through a conference for Black religious women. And I realized something was happening there. I met them one time, and then 4 years later I met them again. And then 7 years later I met them again. But it was always the same sister. Excuse me. And that's when I realized, maybe I need to pursue this. Started a mission down there, which is still continuing today in 1990, of severe malnutrition in the children. In a very short period of time, we lost 65 children. But over time, we were able to work with the local people. We
able to establish schools and work with families with small loans and different things. But I think the primary thing was many people returned and embraced the Catholic faith.
Two of my graduate peers came to me and said, "Sister J, did you see the write-up on San Miguel?" And I went on, and sure enough, there's San Miguel, there's big as life. And I read it, I said, this is perfect. This is everything I learned and what I want to do.
But them saying you're a bridge builder and Miss Chris saying the same thing, is like we need that kind of person here, so that's why I got here.
And the Eucharist was that each and every one of us is the body of Christ. And therefore, whatever we do to one another, we do for or against the body of Christ.